It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hi folks, I'm Sam Lesante. Thanks for tuning us in. Folks, you know, when you go around the highways and you're driving, you know, when you're having it's a beautiful day outside, and then you start seeing all this litter on the street, you know, on the sides of the roads, and people who are throwing garbage out of their windows, and who's throwing cigarettes out the window. How many of you begin to think to yourself, boy, isn't that disgusting? Why are they doing this? Why are they cluttering up our beautiful lands? Well, there's an organization in Schuylkill County called S.K.I.P. And it's very simple. It means Schuylkill, keep it pretty. And no matter where you live, you want to keep your place pretty. Today I'm here at the Chamber offices in Pottsville, and we're learning about S.K.I.P. So it's an opportunity for us to learn a little bit about what many organizations are doing in Schuylkill County. My guest today is Bob Stablin, who is the director of S.K.I.P., and the president, Darlene Delzani, to talk about the S.K.I.P., which I find very interesting. You know, Darlene, first of all, thanks for coming on the show. Bob, thanks for coming on the show. I did not know what S.K.I.P. was, okay, until Bob had given my sales manager here, Neil, a card. And S.K.I.P., and then I think I called you, Bob, and we talked on the phone as to what S.K.I.P. was. And you know, when you think about it, and you think about littering and keeping the, you know, the environment and all that stuff, you know, we all want to see pretty things, but sometimes we don't know why people throw things out and clutter things up. But Darlene, you've been involved with Darlene Delzani, right? You've been involved, you said, here since 1986. How did you get involved with this group?
1986, a group of men from the Chamber and from S.K.I.P, which probably was GPIDC back then, decided this county was really getting very littered up. The Gordon-Noggle Trail was just atrocious. And we had a meeting at the old Chamber building down where Dr. Lou's office is, and people such as Joe Jones, Jim Stein, Doc Croswell, Dick Fair, Dick Higgins, and Uzel Martz were some of the people who were instrumental in getting us all together. And at that point we were trying to have an organization that just focused on litter in the county. And S.K.I.P. was born. And of course I was lucky enough to be, or fortunate enough to be elected president. And at that point we decided it was more than just the litter. Twice a year we would have cleanups, 2 times a year, the spring and the fall. But we also wanted to start an educational program. That educational program is still in the school districts today. Bob teaches it. But we had a school teacher called Mr. Moran, Bill Moran from Pottsville, who actually wrote the workbooks. There was a workbook for the elementary and a workbook for the middle school. And of course he also did a teacher's workbook. And it was actually taught in all of our school districts, once in the elementary, and then reinforcement, we did it in the middle school.
Teaching what?
Teaching the wisdom of recycling and the being not so smart to litter. And we actually took the 3rd graders of each of the school districts. We would put them on a school bus and take them out 901 to an illegal dump site. And we have, what, 68 of them now?
68.
68 illegal dump sites right now in this county. But we would take them out to the worst one, which was along 901. And these kids would just be freaked out because not only was it unsightly, but there were also rats running around.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So then we put them back on the bus and we would take them to a landfill to show them a cell being built.
You like to traumatize kids, or what is it? What is this here?
Well,
Let's traumatize the 3rd graders,
show them
folks.
how dumb it is to litter and have an illegal dump site, and then show them the wisdom of building a cell.
I see, yeah.
And having, you know, a landfill.
Good comparison.
Yes, and the kids always remember that. I mean, you could talk to them when they were seniors, and they would always remember the illegal dump site.
And so that's how you got involved with creating this, okay? You thought there was a, you know, it's interesting because when you see, you know, the kind of litter, and what always frustrates me is when once in a while I'll see someone throw something out of the, you know, the windows. But, you know, you mentioned about the Noggle Trail, you know, and you wonder why people who are using the trail, these are people that want to enjoy it, why they would throw their soda cans or their, whatever garbage they have. I'm sure there's places where they could throw them in garbage cans or trash bins. There's no thought process. I don't think there's a thought process to anybody who litters. I honestly do not think they have a thought process. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, we've been around, and we felt that the educational portion of SKIP would eliminate that. Do you find it getting better? Oh. It did decrease over a period of time, but I would say right now it's back to exactly where it was in 1986. I would think with the awareness of the environment today, and everyone's worried about green and the environment, you would think that they would be more concerned about not littering. We educated the children, we didn't educate the adults in this county. You would think that they would be aware, but they are not. Well, it's surprising because, you're always concerned about, what you're drinking, what you're eating, and all the other stuff. And then if you're going to litter and just throw things around, it's just, you brought up another interesting point. If you go to illegal dump sites, and you'll see a lot of rats and a lot of critters that come in, not realizing that they can accumulate. Unfortunately, sometimes you go to some homes or some houses in the county, and you see things that you don't want to see, but it gets back to the mentality, How do you tell the viewers out there why it's so important not to do that? It's simple to say, don't litter, okay, don't litter, okay, all right, but what are the effects of all that litter, other than the critters and cluttering up the, the county? Well, it depends on what they're disposing. Bob could probably give you a...
One of the problems with littering is the fact that once litter is there, it attracts more litter. And that has been proven by many research projects out there. Businesses are not going to come into a community that is littered with garbage and trash. They just don't want to. I can give you an example where the businesses up at High Ridge, for example, industrial park up in the Gordon Mountain, they got together and they want to beautify that area because their feeling is when executives come into their businesses, they want it to be nice. They've spent over $10,000 with SKIP to landscape just one of the entrance ramps off 81. If you come down 81 and take exit 119, you will see they put in dogwood trees, they put in mums, they're going to put in spring flowers once it gets warmer, and they're going to maintain that. They go out every year with me, and they're part of the cleanup. I will have at least, in April 21st is our next cleanup, I will have at least 75 workers from those businesses out on Saturday working, cleaning with me. And then the second shift, who can't be out on that day, will go in the middle of the week, the following week, and do their cleanups. So businesses are telling you that, they want to clean. If they're going to come into an area, they want to make sure that it is clean. Another thing you have to look at is tourism. Would you want to go to a place to tour and spend your money that is dirty and littered? Same thing happens here. We have Yingling Brewery. People want to come to tour it. We have various locations here through the Visitors Bureau. In order to attract them, we need to have it clean. We need to have the litter taken care of. So it's affecting the economy. Not only is it causing the disease that may come, the leaching from the litter going into our water and ground and so forth, but it's also affecting the economy of it. And every citizen of Schuylkill County has a stake in the county's litter problem. It's just not SKIP's problem. It's a county problem, from individuals to businesses. And I can say that some of the businesses have taken the lead and are going out there and trying to do something about it. But we need more.
You're so right, Bob. I think, litter attracts litter, because if you see litter, if you see trash, and, so you figured, okay, I could throw my litter there as well. It's so true. And as far as cleaning up the environment, again, you're bringing some points up that bells are going off in my head. It is true. You want people to come in and see an area that's pretty, it's nice, it's well kept. Okay, it speaks a lot for the committee. Folks, I'm here at the Chamber office in Pottsville, and I'm talking to Bob Stablin, who is the director of SKIP. And SKIP means Schuylkill Keep It Pretty, and the president, Darlene Delzani. It's a very important community development for you people to understand that you want to keep the environment clean. And how many of us sometimes just throw things away that they shouldn't be throwing away, particularly in outside in the area. We come back, we'll talk a little bit more about SKIP. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. You're watching us on Comcast 7. Thank you so much, folks, for the tremendous support we're getting here in Schuylkill County, particularly on Comcast 7. Remember, SSPTV.com, 24/7. Go to our shows. There's a Pottsville area there where all of our shows that we produce are on that show. So if you missed any shows with United Way, The Chamber, Mayor Riley, this particular program we're doing now with Skip, any of the Sam Lesante shows and all around the towns are there on our website. So you get an opportunity, especially for people who lived here in Pottsville and would like to know what's going on in Pottsville. Just give them a call and tell them to go to our website, SSPTV.com, and hit shows in the Pottsville area. Now, I'm here at the Chamber office in Pottsville, and we're talking to the members of SK.I.P. And that's Schuylkill Keep It Pretty. I'm talking to Bob Stabler, who is the director of SK.I.P., and Darlene Delzani, who is the president of SK.I.P. She's been here since 1986. Darlene, you were talking about different fundraisers that happens for SK.I.P., correct?
The main fundraiser for SK.I.P. has always been a roast. We take a member of the community and we have his friends or so-called friends roast him. And we started.
They were friends until the roast, and then after that, then that's it.
Alex Lipkin was our lead-off person, and that was a very successful roast. Dick Yingling, Harry Croswell, Joe Jones, Senator Hobbs, Frank Shaneman, Fred Spinelli, and many, many more people that I just can't. We've had one every year since somewhere around 19. We do not have a volunteer yet, so if there's anybody out there,
I would have loved to have been some of those roasts, especially with Dick Yingling and Joe Jones and Jeff Finelli. I would have loved to have been there.
It was really they were great roasts, but our sources are drying up now.
Yeah. Well, and the funding now, okay. What do you do with the funding?
Well, we started out with $30,000 from the county. That was back in 1986, and that has dwindled down to somewhere around $12,000. And it's very difficult to keep a good director on and also fund our advertising, which is very badly needed, to get the volunteer base back to where it was. In the beginning, the volunteer base was 5,000 people. We'd have 5,000 volunteers. We'd have 11 satellites, the main one being up at the Coke plant because of Doc Croswell. And all of the dumpsters were donated, and it was easy to run SK.I.P. Today it is not, because we don't have the funding. Even board members, we started out, I'm sure, with somewhere around 30 board members. We're down to what, Bob?
7.
Wow, yeah. What do you think? Why is that? Any reason why the attrition is so?
Well, we feel we're not out in the public eye enough like we used to be in the very beginning, because our name was always out there because we could afford the advertising. We no longer can. So that's what we're trying to do right now, get back out and get the people pumped up again.
So other than getting the word out, like shows like mine and other areas, and explaining what SK.I.P. is all about, you were to say something, Bob?
Yeah, one of the other things that we spend money on, and people don't realize this, is that we go into the classrooms when I go in and teach. When I leave, the students receive a litter bag, okay? Now you would think litter bags, oh, well, it's not a lot of money, but they are. They're 40 cents for one. When you're dealing with thousands of students, it's going to add up. Inside that litter bag, they will get an activity book that deals with litter, and they will also get information for their parents to take home. Okay, so we're spending money that way. We run a phone book directory collection every September. 2 years ago, we collected 19 tons of phone books. Okay, some of them were recycled at a recycling center. Many of them went to local farmers who shredded them for bedding for their animals. So it saved them money because they didn't have to go out and buy bedding. It got the phone books recycled. It was a win-win. We gave out $1,200 in prize money to the top 3 students in the top 3 schools. Okay, so we do have expenses that can't be cut. I mean, we're at the bare bones right now the way it is with our expenses. If you look at our financial statements, you'll see that we've been cutting back. We're at as far as we can cut.
You know, it's interesting because you're talking about something that you shouldn't even have a committee for. Everyone should know not to litter. Everyone should know that to keep the county clean. And you know, it goes back to education. You know, I don't want to say sometimes people are ignorant to what they do, but sometimes they are ignorant, you know, and it's just so sad that someone would throw litter and throw trash and you know, to disfigure the areas, particularly where people are gathering, people coming into the community. You know, if you don't keep your own domicile clean, you know, and if you don't know the respect of what you have in cleaning your own, I remember growing up, you know, I had to make sure, clean the dishes, clean this, make sure this, you know, we grew up this way. And there's the educational process, okay? Because we weren't rich, we didn't have a lot of money, but we were certainly clean and made sure that we kept everything neat. And that seems to me like, you know, sometimes if I'm walking, I see a cigarette butt or something, and I'll pick it up, and it just becomes habit. You would hope that that would be contagious, you know, in the community. But unfortunately, we need S.K.I.P for those people who don't do what we're doing.
One of the leading research studies has also said that people litter because they don't have a sense of ownership. Yeah. They don't feel that it is theirs. I mean, I grew up in Schuylkill County. I taught in Schuylkill County for 35 years. I am part of Schuylkill County, just as Darlene has been part of Schuylkill County. I mean, we have pride. Everyone should have that same pride in their county, because it is everyone's county.
Well, Darlene, when you're talking about, you had 5,000 volunteers, okay, and I know a lot of people want to, you know, want to help, okay. How does one go about wanting to volunteer, get involved? You know, not a lot of time, but tell me how this process works.
Anybody who wants to volunteer can call S.K.I.P.
We're going to put the phone number on the screen, folks, so you can call for volunteer.
And he will be glad to get you anything that you need for the cleanup. We're looking for service clubs to come forward, because we used to have a lot of service clubs. And in fact, the Lions Club from Pottsville, originally, they were one of our original cleanup crews, and they ended up adopting a highway, the Gordon-Nago, which they've now given that up, and somebody else has taken it over. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for groups. I went and spoke to the Penn State students, hoping that I could get them out to do 61, because at one time their Echo Club would start at the Red Church in Orgersburg and come forward and back. They would clean that whole area.
So if I, go ahead, Bob.
Okay, we have 2 annual cleanups, one in the fall and one in the spring. We do it during the Great Pennsylvania Cleanup Week. This year it's April the 21st, okay? However, if you can't make that date, you can do a cleanup at any time. I give them vests, bags, and gloves. All they have to do is call me and ask. I had a family 2 weeks ago who wanted to go out and clean a section of the, Buck Run Mountain. They called up, I gave them the supplies, they went out a Saturday and a Sunday and they cleaned it up. So actually, cleanups can be whenever you want to do them. All you need to do is contact me and I will see that you have the supplies. You don't need a special number of people. Everyone calls and says, well, do I have to have a certain number in my group? Nope, 1 person can go out, 100 people can go out.
That's, folks, it's a good opportunity for to adopt this as a project. I want to get back on what you said, because sometimes you have a family or a group of friends or people want to get together and say, hey, look, let's spend 3-4 hours cleaning up the community. Folks, I'm talking to Bob Stablin, who is the director of S.K.I.P, and Darlene Delzani, who is the president since 1986. What are we talking about? We're talking about keeping your county pretty and keeping it clean. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks, 24/7. And once again, folks, I want to thank you so much for the great response we're having here on Comcast 7, bringing local television. I did mention on a couple of my shows, folks, that we are, yes, we're working on more local programming for you here in the greater Pottsville area on Comcast 7. Also, we are continuing to work on bringing you local news, like we have in the greater Hazleton area. In Hazleton, for example, our evening news, which is 5 o'clock and 5:30, where we broadcast, which you also could watch on our website. We're servicing 65 to 70,000 people. All looking for local news. More sometimes, we have more viewers on our local television up there in channel 13 than one of the broadcast stations have, and they're servicing 17 counties. So we're very happy with that. We want to bring that exposure to this area. Now today, folks, I'm at Pottsville Chamber Building in S.K.I.P. We're talking to S.K.I.P, which is Schuylkill Keep It Pretty, along with Bob Stablin, who is the director of S.K.I.P, and also Darlene Delzanzi, who is the president. You were talking about that this goes the cleanup and SKIP goes beyond the cleanup.
Originally, when we founded SKIP, we went a couple steps beyond that, because one of the biggest environmental hazards that we had in the county were the thousands of tires that were on the Gordon-Noggle Trail. And a couple of members of our board had contacted the Army Corps of Engineers, and it was Colonel Cleaver was the person who was in charge of them at that point. We asked if they could come in and help us clean up the Gordon-Noggle Trail. And they said, yes, but tell us what you want to do with the tires. So we had a contest. And we went out there to the people of Schuylkill County and said, tell us what you need to do, or what you want us to do with all the tires. And it was the Schuylkill Soccer Association came back and said, bury them and make soccer fields. And at first we thought, you got to be kidding us, you're going to bury them. Well, Chris said that is doable, it can be done. So that's exactly what we did. We had the Army Corps of Engineers come in and dig everything up and bury the tires, and that's why they have the soccer fields on the Gordon-Noggle Trail. But that was the initial project for SKIP. The next one was out in Panther Valley, where there was a stream that was decimated with acid mine water, or mine acid water. And they brought in a big concrete container, and I went up in a big helicopter, I remember that, and there was a big hole in the floor, and they had a concrete container that they put in the middle of that stream, and they filled it with limestone and covered it, and that is now a stream that's filled with fish.
Isn't that wonderful? And
that was another contest that we had, and that was Ed Wojtowicz, who was a teacher from that area, who was just into the environment 100%. But we've done more than just litter cleanup.
Talking about the safety factor, okay, if I want to, you said you provide gloves and vest, but however, you know, sometimes people get a little carried away. They're going to go into the areas that maybe they shouldn't go. Do you have any guidelines, you know, that you, if I want to start picking up litter, that, you know, I don't walk into places where there could be, you know, whatever, you know?
A lot of times, if it's a dangerous situation, I will actually contact the local police, and they will be there to watch the traffic and to help them with that. We do not encourage young children to go out into the woods with their parents. We would like to see somebody maybe around the beginning of the age 9, 10 years old to go out with a parent is fine. We recommend, when I go into the elementary schools, I recommend that the elementary students go and clean up their playground. And that's their participation as SKIP.
Because sometimes you could become overzealous, and you go in a highway or whatever, and even though I want to do this and not understand, so you do monitor where they're going, and so if I'm going into a busy area, you will call the municipal police to at least know that there's a group going to clean.
Right. When we did the Gordon Mountain, for example, because that's kind of a hazardous and danger area, cleaning the side of the road, we had the Gordon police officer would ride up and down the street and put signs up telling them that there was a litter crew there.
Excellent. Now, you were talking about tires. You're talking about litter. Okay. Assuming I have, you know, tires and litter, and I have to get rid of stuff, you know, before I start throwing them all over the different places, you know, can I call SKIP and say, look, I have tires, I have a couple things that I have to get rid of. Can you give me any advice of what to do, how to get rid of that litter? So, not that you're going to pay for it, but at least help me to know where to get rid of that.
Yes, I get phone calls almost every day asking me, what do I do with these light bulbs, for example, the energy efficient ones? You can take them back to Home Depot or Lowe's and they will recycle them for you. So I do give that information out. We work very closely with the solid waste management in the courthouse, and we can give that information to anybody who needs it.
I think that's important, because this way it'll prevent, you know, anytime you can prevent something from happening, okay? Folks, the number is 628-3758. I have 2 major cleanups a year. First of all, it's a lot of fun. You know, you're doing something good to get you out in the fresh air. 2 major cleanups. April 21st is when you're having the spring one, and then there's one in the fall. And I'm here with SKIP, and it means Schuylkill Keep It Pretty. Don't we want to keep things pretty, folks? Yes, we do. And also, you could encourage people to not litter. Sometimes people just think that they just could throw things off the highways or whatever. It's amazing, you know, Darlene, when I see these people collecting. We have it in different areas, different counties, and they adopt, you know, the highway. And I look at those bags, and you're right. You know, I look at those bags full of stuff, saying, what's going on? Why are these people throwing, you know, coffee cups out? And it's just disgusting. You know, really.
It's a throwaway society.
Yeah. Well, here again, you have to have a little respect, you know. Bob, in closing, what would you like to tell our viewers?
Well, I would just like to encourage you to get out and help us to keep Schuylkill County clean. You can call me, as I said, anytime. If you have a local road that needs to be cleaned and you're concerned about it, that's fine. Just call me and I'll see that you have your supplies. One thing that needs to be reiterated, too, is the fact that when they're throwing this garbage on the side of the road, they're also wasting resources. And what I do a lot with my students when I go into the classroom, we play a little game. For example, if I recycle one aluminum can, I save enough energy to watch television for 3 hours.
It's the little things like that that really mean a lot, but that's interesting, you know.
Well, one other thing, too, is do you know we throw enough newspapers away in 1 year to build a 12-foot wall from New York City to California, just in the United States?
We're going to have a trivia thing with this guy. That's interesting. So what do I do with my newspapers?
You recycle them.
Okay, all right. Don't yell at me. I just asked. Oh, my goodness gracious. Anyway, folks, it's interesting. Isn't it something, folks, when you learn about what you could do with your trash and how it could be a help and learn a lot more? The website is up. It's called skiplitter.org. You'll learn a lot more about it. You know, learn a little bit about it, folks, and help them because it's important. And also, folks, they can certainly use their donations. They are trying to get the word out. As Darlene said, one time there was 5,000 volunteers and down to way less than that, and we want to get them up to help make our county beautiful. As far as this county is concerned, I love it, folks. You guys have been great to us, and we're hoping to do whatever we can to bring a lot of local information such as this to you. At 24/7, if you want to watch any of our shows that we do in Pottsville, just go to ssptv.com, hit shows, and you'll Pottsville watch every show we've done here in the greater Pottsville area. We'll see you next time.